I lost my father. I was in primary two. So I never really have the chance to be able to look at a man and say, "Good morning, father." It's not that like my father died 2,000 years ago. It was just a few years ago because I am 46. So with me, my father was alive 40 years ago.
Your real currency in life is how you bring people together to achieve a common goal and how you make it so that everyone's value really is honored.
This is probably somebody that I've interviewed to 3 or 4 times. Now, I go to review that interview again. Then I'm asking myself, what if this person, if I never interviewed this person, if he never spoke here, he would still be dead by now. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us in today's episode of the Obehi podcast. I remain your host, Obehi Ewanfo. Of course, like you know, we love to talk about story. It's our only magic that we use here because talking about story means that we are deciding to own our narrative in the world and we are using it as a way, as a leverage to be able to connect to the right people. So if you are a business owner, if you are a founder, you haven't mastered how to tell your story, I encourage you to reach out to me. If you come to A Classes Media, or you just go to Google and type A Classes Media /asset, you'll be able to sign up for our program where we teach you how to be able to own your story so you can stand out in the competition. You never need to compete in the world of business. You need to own your story and use it as a leverage to be able to stand out in what you do. So today I have the honor of talking with an expert, a leader in her business, who of course is going to be telling us something important. Just now before I started to record, I was saying, what are we going to be talking about today? So she said something really very important. I'm going to keep in my mind for a long time. Collaboration in business. That is something really very important because of course we also try to promote that a lot because there is no reason for us to be competing. We have a lot to, there is enough at the table, so we can only share. So I love that. All right, so here we are. Here we are. I want to thank you so much for taking the time to join me today. Could you tell the people who you are? That's where we'll start from.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for having me. And my name is Deana Jean. I'm based here in the New York City area, and people affectionately refer to me as Your Collab Queen because I work with organizations, nonprofits, large organizations, and also small business owners to help them understand how they can lead and sell better through the power of collaboration. Because I really do believe that your network is your net worth. So I love helping people find ways to find common ground and to connect to make amazing things happen.
All right, Diana, that is really beautiful. That is the best place to start. Your network is your net worth. That is so beautiful. So before we get there just now, let's take some moment to learn about you because, of course, you heard me say that we are about storytelling here. So we're going to be storytelling just now. So were you born in New York or did you come to New York from another place? Tell us more about that.
Yeah, great question. So I was actually born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, in an area of Brooklyn, a community in Brooklyn called Bushwick. And I was born there, but my parents actually both migrated there from the South. So my dad's family from Mississippi and my mom's family from Georgia. And they really, interestingly enough, ended up meeting each other because their families moved to the same block in Brooklyn that became very much a village for people that were migrating to the north from the south in the 60s and 70s. And that was where it all began for me.
That's beautiful. So the love seal it up there in New York. So that is where you are. You are the product of that.
I am. I'm the product of that. Absolutely. Still in New York. Now living in Staten Island, New York, but still New York City.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. All right. Now I'm curious. You are growing up in New York now as a little girl. What are you seeing around you?
Yeah. So, anyone that has grown up in a metropolitan city knows that it really ends up being a wide range of things that you see. So I grew up in Brooklyn in the 80s and 90s, and I saw a lot of things. I saw within our community really positive things that were happening because it was very much a mentality of people who were looking out for each other. Again, I grew up in this block or in this area where everyone knew each other and became one big family. So I saw a lot of positive messages around education, around giving back to your community, a lot of strong faith messages. But I also grew up during a time in a metropolitan city where, the drug epidemic was very, very heavy. So it was always interesting to see that dichotomy because our parents and, our village was very, very intentional about letting us know that just because we were surrounded by negative things, just because we might have been surrounded by a drug epidemic or by lots of crime, that we did not have to become products of what we were surrounded by. And I think that that really helped to not insulate us because we were exposed to all different types of things that were happening. But I think that it helped us to understand that you do not have to be necessarily a negative product of your environment. And it also helped me to understand the importance of your community and your network work regardless of what you were in the middle of, because we had such a strong community, because we had such a strong village that attached to us, many of us within that neighborhood went on to be really successful and achieve amazing things.
All right. All right. That is beautiful. Of course, I would also like to understand how you manage to isolate yourself from what is happening around you. But other than that, it's also important to see what is the difference today when you look at the New York or the neighborhood where you grew up in the 80s, in the 70s, and how it is today. What has transformed? What have changed?
Everything. Everything has. So when I was growing up in Bushwick in the 80s and the 90s, that was like one of the last neighborhoods that people wanted to move to. And over the last 20 years ago, it has been what we call in the US gentrified, right? Which means that there are a lot of people who did not grow up in that neighborhood who have come in. And because of the shortage of housing in different boroughs, it actually has created this influx of people into Brooklyn that have caused prices to go up, that have caused the prices of homes to go up, that have caused the prices of apartments to go up. So now there are parts of Bushwick where I grew up that they call East Williamsburg now instead of calling it Bushwick. And in those areas, they are very gentrified. They look much, much more like what you would have pictured maybe a Lower East Side or maybe even a Midtown Manhattan to look like in the 80s and 90s. And I'm grateful for the fact, though, that there are still some families that I grew up with that stayed in that area and that are reaping the benefits of the increase in real estate value and also the improvements, the general improvements in the neighborhood. So I'm really grateful that there's still some core people there who didn't sell out, right? That held on, and now they're seeing some really great tailwinds, including my mom. My mom's still in Bushwick, and we're just really grateful that she stayed and that she continues to be a pillar in the community.
Lovely. Lovely. You were saying in the 80s and in the 70s. That is where you grew up. So you are the 80 babes, I will call it, no?
I am.
All right. In the 80s and in the 70s. So were there some people that were sort of key figures in the time that you could remember, people of historic importance, people that you could say were shaping the society around you? They might be within your neighborhood, they might be national, they might be international. I'm asking that because I'm trying to see who is influencing you. Share with us.
Sure. So many influences in my life, but I always go back to a few people. So one, I go back to my granddad, and just him as a visionary and him having the vision of wanting something better for his family by moving them from Georgia to New York. And this was a man who did not learn how to read until he was 65 years old, but created a life for his family that was tremendous in Brooklyn. Always worked. They always had two cars. They always took vacations. And it wasn't until he retired as a head of maintenance for New York City housing that he decided that he wanted to learn to read. So my grandfather is one because he showed me the power of perseverance and of, the power of relationships. Understanding that the relationships that you have can make up for whatever skills that you don't have. A second person that I can think of on the national level was I was born in 1981, and in 1988, Jesse Jackson actually made a run for president. He made a run to be the first Black Democratic candidate for president. And I remember us being with my dad and my uncle, who actually worked in local politics in Brooklyn, and us canvassing for Jesse Jackson. And I remember how just I knew that that was such an incredibly important moment to be able to see someone who looked like my uncles and my dad and people in my life who were vying for the highest position within this country. But then locally, we had our very first mayor, David Dinkins, our very first Black mayor here that was elected in 1990. And I remember, because again, my dad and my uncle were involved in local politics here, I had the opportunity in the third grade to go to David Dinkins' inauguration, which was just a very, very big deal. And that's something that I remember to this day.
That's a lovely. Yeah, that might sound ordinary to some people, but these are actually the key ingredients that help us to shape our story. This is really important. We don't take them lightly at all, because we're talking about story. We're talking about shaping our narrative. We're talking about owning the story, which is about our experiences and the experiences of the people that look like us, also in a world that might like to shift us to one side. These are important. And then, of course, I like something that you were saying there also, that your father couldn't read until 60s. Now, that automatically is bringing me to the sacrifice, the sacrifice that our parents make. Because now we are paying attention to the multi-generational businesses and wealth creation. In the sense that we are telling businesses, let's craft that story. Let's craft that narrative. Don't let it just leave it aside that maybe people will understand. No, people will not understand. If you don't shape the narrative, you leave it to other people to do whatever they like with it, including misrepresenting you. So instead, what we are doing in A-Classes Media is that we are looking for businesses of importance within the community who have been here for the past 20, 10 years, that have seen the ups and downs of life. And we are saying to them, let's craft that narrative. It is important. I remember, for example, when I came here to Italy in 2004, and when I started to work on the project that I'm still working on today, by the way, is what led to this podcast. It was a research about the presence of Africans in northern Italy. So I remember I have interviewed a lot of people who were here before me, so that they were like about 40 years before I came in 2004. Wow. So I really feel very, very happy about it. Each time I take out that book and read again, it makes me very proud of this work, because this is not my story. This is our story. Yeah. Because this is the story of a people who they couldn't even have a place to stay. This is not talking about the sacrifice. In that they were living in Verona or in some other parts of northern Italy. At the point they didn't have paper, but at the point they had the legal paper to be able to work, but nobody gave them any house. They were living on the streets, on the train station. They go to work, they return, they live on the train station. All right, why am I bringing this story? I'm bringing this story to say that those people that live on the train station are the reason we have a house to stay today. Because they are the pioneer. They are the people who make it possible for us to be able to have a place to stay. Because when I came in 2004, I didn't have to stay on the train station. Not because I was very powerful, not because I was too smart. It's because people have made it possible for me. So this is the story that we are talking about. And I remember one time, one person, it's an older person that I've also have interviewed a number of times. He told me, he said, Peter. Okay, they also call me Peter. You are able to do a lot of things because you have instruments. You are able to do a lot of things that we couldn't do in our time. We didn't have the chance. We didn't have the possibility to do because now we can manipulate the internet. You are in New York. I'm in Verona. We are able to. They didn't have that chance.
Yeah.
So why I'm bringing this aspect of the story is that for us who might be able to do a lot of things, we need to remember that it is not just about us as individual, but us as collective. So that we need to remember those stories, those grandfather who didn't know how to read that, not because they were dull,
Oh,
but they
absolutely.
were making sacrifices so that we can read and write, so that we can have a name, so that we can have a home, so that we can have a story, so that now that we know how to tell story, it shouldn't be just about us. You see how beautiful, how smart, how intelligent I am? No, not me. How resilient we are as a people because we have
Right.
made it. So I don't know if you want to say something more about that because now today we're talking about collaboration, we're talking
Yeah.
about partnership. And I think we're actually talking about this. What do you say
Yeah.
about that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I love what you mentioned because that really is my story, right? Like it started with my grandfather, but it leads to collaboration because if it wasn't for the relationships that my grandfather had built with other members of his family that were in New York, he would not have been able to come here and to find work and to bring his family. And then once his family got here, if it wasn't for the collaborative nature of the community that they were part of, then my mom and my aunts and my uncles wouldn't have seen the opportunities to go further faster. Again, my granddad didn't learn how to read until he was 65 because he had to leave school in third grade because his father left the family and he was the oldest and he had to start working. But his children all graduated from high school and college. And that was because of leveraging the village, leveraging the resources that were there. And then I went a step further because my mom, as a banker and then as an educator, wanted to leverage our network and wanted to leverage opportunities for me to experience things that she didn't experience. And so I was able to go a little bit further. And now, in seeing it in my life, it now transfers to my children, but also in business. So I'm the first person ever in my immediate family to start a business and to work for myself. And my children, though, really don't know or can't remember a time when I wasn't doing some type of independent consulting or some type of business. And what I've found is that it actually now affects the way that they see their future and what's possible for them. So they don't just talk about, going to college, which is fine, and working for someone else, which is also fine. They are each looking for ways to pursue their gifts and learning the importance and the power of leveraging your network to create opportunities. And then their children and that next generation hopefully will go a little further. So I think it's important, one, to honor that every generation wants to go a little further than the next. And that's in business and that's in life. Every team that I manage or every team that I come in to support from a sales or leadership perspective, they want to do even better than the team behind them did. But what's also important to recognize is that in wanting to do better and wanting to achieve more, acknowledging that the reason that we're in the spaces and in the positions that we are in is because of the work of those who came before us. So I think that that's a really important point as well.
Thank you so much for sharing that. You see, there is a collaborators of mine. Okay, I have a different collaborator, both right there in New York, in California, in London, in many other places, with whom we are supporting each other. We are each other's chairman and cheerleader. So we need to do this now. Sometimes I used to tell them that we need to be very happy of the special privilege we have to be able to do this work
Oh my
because
gosh.
we are setting a foundation that other people are going to build upon. Again, we are all going to realize that it is not just for our individual glory. It is because we are standing on the shoulder of other people. That is why we can see far ahead of us. We must understand that. It is very important. So
Yeah.
just now, I had a meeting, a business meeting with a local Italian friend of mine, and whom we are trying to enter into a partnership because we want to be able to reach to some local Italian businesses and offer them this service that we do which is helping them to tell their story. Then, in the course of the conversation, I was telling him of certain statistics that we read that even when it comes to generational wealth, when a family have become successful, sometimes when it get to like three or fourth generation, I think up to like third generation or so, the children sort of get lost of what have happened before.
Yeah.
And this
Yeah.
is because this story have not been told to them. Therefore, they don't see the value for it. Because now, like I was saying before, it have never happened to me that I don't have any house to stay.
Right.
Because when I came to Verona, it's just simple. I just go to, okay, I need a room, I get it. But somebody need to help me understand that it wasn't simple for other people before me. That is
Right.
my job now as a storyteller. I need to help people to understand that what that thing you are seeing at a snap of a finger, it was difficult. People actually have to dream about that. It wasn't possible for them.
Right.
Because when we understand it from that perspective, we come to value it more.
Yeah.
So I was talking to my friend just now in our meeting that we need to tell this story, help people, particularly people whose parents, like for example, of your grandparents, have made a lot of sacrifices to build businesses. They need to understand the sacrifices that have been made before that nobody gave it to them.
That's right.
Nobody gave this thing to them. If your parent have a generational business, it wasn't gift. It wasn't a gift to them. They sacrificed a lot of things for you to be able to own this. So you need to remember, you need to know that this is important for you to continue to build on that. So anyway, this is a question that I'd like to ask you. If we understand or if we accept that this story need to be told, because if you don't tell the story, people will not know, therefore they will not treasure what they don't know. Now, what are the ways for them to be able to know? What should we do more to help the younger generation understand the sacrifices of those before them?
Yeah. So one is, Obehi, I really appreciate the work that you do in helping people tell their stories. And I think that it's also important that we honor that people can tell their stories in different ways. So for example, one of the ways that I really lean into telling the story and making sure that it's available for generations moving forward is through speaking. So I speak a lot. I speak internationally. I speak, domestically here in the U.S. And for me, that's a great way because I love to have those video clips and that documentation that can be there that I can then pass on to my children and that they can see it and it's available to them. But of course, because of the digital age that we live in, everything can be transcribed now. So a lot of times people say, oh, well, I don't have time to write it down. I get writer's block. I feel intimidated by having to write a book. Absolutely heard. I feel the same way in many aspects. But when you get out there and you take the opportunity to be on a podcast like this amazing podcast, to speak at a summit, to speak at an event, and then you make sure that that is recorded, you can then transcribe that information and make sure that it gets passed on. So I think any opportunity that you have to share your story on a stage or to share your story on a platform, use that, leverage it, but leverage it in multiple ways. Don't let it just die with this podcast interview. Make sure that you take it, get it transcribed, put it in a place, in a drive where you can go back to it, piece it together, where your family can take it and maybe create a memoir from it, right? So make sure that you take as many opportunities as possible to tell your story.
That is so beautiful. That is so beautiful. You see, I love to tell story. I read my first book. I was in junior secondary school. I was in Nigeria then. The book is titled Round My Mind. Actually, why I tell story, there is a personal reason for it. I lost my father. I was in primary 2. So I never really have the chance to be able to look at a man and say, good morning, father, things like those normal things for people to get. And this again goes to the father. Sometimes people think certain things are just simple and normal. But for me, it wasn't normal because it wasn't there. Not because he wasn't a good person, but he died. So many times I imagine if I could just see a tape a record of my father talking, how much I would value that. But I don't have it. It's not there.
Yeah.
It's not that like my father died 2,000 years ago. It was just few years ago because I am 46. So with me, my father was alive 40 years ago. So I know how important it will be for people to be navigating the ocean of internet sometime in the future, and they will see the recording of somebody, maybe their grandfather or their parent or their sister, and they will listen and say, so this is how this person talk.
There's a connection.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So it's interesting because my husband and I, we recently found our wedding DVD recording. We were married in 2007, and our first child, our oldest son, was born in 2009. And then we have two other kids that were born in 2011 and 2016. And we found the wedding DVD, and I was playing it. First of all, the youngest one was like, "What is a DVD? Like, what is even this like little circular thing, right?" Which is crazy to even think about that. But then it was interesting because just to see their faces, to see a video of me and their dad before they were born, and to see their grandparents, and to see. But what was really, really cool about it was that my granddad passed away in June of 2016, unfortunately. And my daughter was born in July of 2016. So she has grown up her entire life hearing about him, seeing pictures of him. And there's been times in her life when she's gotten really emotional because she didn't get the chance to actually meet him. So when we put in the wedding DVD, he's very prominent in the DVD. And to see the look on her face and how she lit up, to feel like for her, this is now a full circle connection. She actually gets to see him move. She gets to see him smile. She gets to see him alive and as a living person. It was a really powerful moment. So I that really, really resonates with me as well.
Thank you so much for that. And I think this is actually the biggest joy that I get here, being able to do, because I understand the value. I really do, to the depth of my heart. And also because I have interviewed a lot of people here. Of course, I know that I'm still just starting. I've done more than 1,000 episodes here. You see, from this 1,000 episode, to my notice, up to 3 or 4 people have already died. Somebody that I've interviewed, somebody will call me, they say, that person is dead.
Wow.
This is probably somebody that I've interviewed to 3 or 4 times. Now, I go to review that interview again. Then I'm asking myself, what if this person, if I never interviewed this person, if he never spoke here, he would still be dead by now.
That's true.
But now that he have had the chance to be able to express himself, because I don't know whether this person have another record somewhere that shows to the universe that he was here. But now this video is here, where he have the chance to be able to express himself, have the chance to be able to say, this is how I see the world.
That's right.
This is very important.
It's powerful.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's really powerful. Yeah, we don't, again, I think that as you mentioned, when things become so normal and natural to us, that you can lose sight of how much a gift so much of this is. The fact that, building your network is so much easier to do now with the advent of social media and the internet. When I was in the 9th grade, that was when the first time I ever had an email address, right? And that was, I'm 44. So that was 30 years ago. 30 years ago, people didn't have email addresses, right? 35 years ago, people didn't have email addresses. And now you fast forward 35 years and you see that you and I can connect to each other on a platform like a LinkedIn and then have a conversation while I'm in New York, you're in Italy, that can reach people globally across the spectrum, right? So there's so much that we have access to. And I think it's just important to, first of all, remember to use these resources for good and to build true connection, because you don't know what can come of that. But then secondly, to not take any of it for granted and to be really grateful and to use these resources and these gifts with intention in a way that will continue to add value for a very long time to come.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, it's about the intentionality. Of course, we are coming back to the network just now because I like what you said there. Of course, I'm coming to that. You see, when people look at, for example, the AI, which is what we all have access to today, okay, I'm just coming to the point that everything is a tool for us to use, and we need to use it for this time. Because just like, for example, one of the person that I interviewed told me, "Oh, you have access to this information that we didn't have access to, so we couldn't do what you are doing now." Which, of course, also go back to the father. It's not about me; it's about us. I have the chance, so I need to tell the story of my father. I need to tell the
Yeah,
story of my father's father. I don't want my father to come out from the grave and start telling his story because he's not living in this time. It is my
that's right.
duty to do that.
Right.
So people think that, oh, the internet is the highest thing that we can, that is possible. No, I said it's the highest thing that is possible for us in this time. So
That's
if you
right.
fast forward to like 50 years from now, to like
Yep.
100 years from now, to like 1,000 years from now, and you can think back and see AI, that what we call AI today, it will look so obsolete. It will look so old. I say, then you will be asking yourself, but how did they manage to work with that thing? Did that thing really work for them? You see, I'm just saying that to me, that what you're saying, Diana, that we need to really take advantage of the tool that we have and use it consciously because it really holds a lot of power. It holds a lot of power with the time that we are today, but we should be able to also use it that to be able to move forward to the generation that is going to come, to the time that is going to come, because it's absolutely fundamentally important. Diana, it's like you're no longer there. Can you hear me? You're frozen. Are you there? We don't know we don't know what have happened. Are you there?
Yeah, I am here. Are you there?
Yeah, yeah, I'm here, of course.
Okay,
I don't
great.
know what happened, but anyway, it's
Yep.
good.
We'll keep going.
All right, so I will just say that it is important that we understand that the tools that we have are tools in our hands, and we need to be able to use them, and like you said, judiciously and consciously to be able to promote our collective value. Now, you said something important that I want you to revisit again. Yeah, you said our network is our net worth. And this is going to be very important for us now. What do you mean by that?
Yeah. So, what I mean by your network is your net worth is that a lot of times in life and in business, we can want to achieve a goal, but we will feel like we don't have all of the skills to achieve that specific goal, right? I want to start a business, but I don't know anything about accounting. I want to throw this event, but I don't know anything about operations. The reason that your network is your net worth is because for everything that you are not proficient in, for everything that you don't have the skill to do, for everything that you may not feel comfortable with or skilled in, there is someone within your network that can do that thing and add value. And I believe that the more that we can find opportunities to come together with people that do things that are different than what we do, but do them just as well as we do the thing that we do, we can create amazing opportunities. So instead of one trying to compete with someone so that you can be able to say that you won, right? Or competing with someone so that you can be able to feel like you're on top, I think it's important to bring people into the fold that one, free you up to do the thing that you do really well. But then, secondly, really and truly expanding the capacity of what can be possible. When I think about your network being your net worth, I think again about my granddad. You know, standing alone, you see him as a man who doesn't have a large formal education. You might see him as a person who, didn't understand or didn't know a lot of things. But he knew enough people in places where he wanted to go that opened doors for him. He knew somebody in New York, so he didn't have to plan that move in New York on his own. Now, that part of his network became that much more valuable because now he has a connection to someone who has the answer, right? He started off as an elevator operator, and as an elevator operator, he met somebody who had access to an opportunity and a position that would help him to earn more and to make more of an impact. So he himself didn't have to be the person to try to figure all of that out. He was connected to someone who could open the doors and open the opportunities for him. And he saw it also as a way to give back to those people that he was connected to. So your network being your net worth really is your currency. Every person that you connect to is building your currency within your business and in your life to do more with less.
That is beautiful. It could be said anything better than that. There is a reflection of mind that I have like this. Talking of the social capital that we have, which is another way to look at this network and see your net worth. I say, if there are two group of people and they are taken into the natural world, okay, let's call it a forest in this case, and we're going to be trying to tempt the human survivor. And this one group of people is one person. Let's say we give him $1 billion and we send him into the forest. Okay, now this other group, which is group B, let's say there are 10 people, or let's say 5 people. We give them no money, we send them into the forest. Which of them is going to survive first?
Yeah, the group. Yeah, right. The group, right? Yeah.
It's pretty easy. It's pretty easy to understand. And that is also talking about the power of the community, the power of the people. And this is in line talking about how in Africa we see life. That you are a human being because of other human being. That is how the spirit of Ubuntu explains it. That you are not just a human being because of you. You are a human being in relation to other human beings like you because they are the one that define you. Okay, look at it this way. Another interesting way to look at it. Name. You see, you don't call yourself, no? If you are calling yourself, you won't be crazy. It is other people that call you.
Right.
You also do not see yourself really. Right. If you want to see yourself, you need a reflection. But the other people are actually your reflection.
Yeah.
Because now you say, I'm a mother. You are not a mother if you are not related to something else, which is
right,
your son.
Yeah, there's a connection, right? You define yourself based on relationships.
Exactly. You cannot be a wife up to yourself. You must be you are a wife because you have a husband, or there was a husband, or there is husband somewhere. So life is a relationship, really. It is not because people get it messed up here sometimes about this idea of me, I'm intelligent, you are not intelligent. Your intelligence, is the collective that we all have. It is not just you. Because you alone, you will be dead very shortly.
Right, on your own. Yeah, it's a collective. Yeah, and that's why your network, it's so important to leverage collaboration, because even in corporations, people get away from that sometimes. They get away from the success that can be experienced collectively, and focus a little bit more on, what I can achieve and what I can do. And that's why it's so important to have these conversations, because when you create connections, you start to uncover things about people that you didn't already know. You start to uncover that they may have resources or they may have gifts that can add to whatever it is that you're creating, or it can help birth something that you didn't think that you would be able to achieve. So I think it's important for organizations, when they're thinking about how can we be better, instead of focusing on the external, focus on the internal. Start working from the outside in, and you're going to start to see some really, really good tailwinds and good low-hanging fruit and success.
Thank you for that. So a couple of years ago, I read a book, an interesting book. I think maybe it's a high time I read that book, but I think I've read it like about 2 or 3 times. The book is titled "The Science of Getting Rich"
Mm.
by Watto Wallace, and that
Yeah.
was I think Watto wrote that book in 1910. So
Oh, wow.
Watto was saying in the book that if you get rich by competition,
Mm,
necessarily when you get rich, because now you become number one, which is the zero sum game, it
right.
is upon you to throw away the ladder that get you to the point. Because otherwise, another person will be higher
Somebody's
than
combining.
you.
Yeah, yeah,
That
yeah.
is just
If
the
it's
logic.
competition. Right.
Then he say there is another way to get rich, which is everybody can be rich. In this way, you can compete with me because we all decide to be rich. You are
That's
rich,
right.
you're being rich. That is the prime meaning of being rich, which is the positive sum game. So we can play this game too.
Yeah.
Just because okay, we can also understand it looking at the composition of the human body, for example. The eyes is important, right? So is the nose too. Equally, the
Right.
mouth. You can't say I have the eyes, so I don't need the mouth. No, you need both. So you can
Yeah.
have eyes and equally have nose. They are not doing the same thing.
Right.
You can't say that
Exactly.
because I am the nose, I am the most important. No, you are important
Right.
just like the eyes too.
And that's what happens, right? And I think that a lot of times competition comes about because there's a sense of insecurity that people have around their own skills or around the longevity of whatever it is that they're building. But when you realize that each contribution that you make, when combined with the gifts and the contribution of someone else, just magnifies impact, it creates this really, really amazing ripple. And I mean, we can look at sports teams, right? You look at a football team, or you look at a basketball team, or you look at a baseball team, or you look at a rugby team or a cricket team. Um, each individual person plays their part in order to achieve the goal. Even if you have somebody like a Michael Jordan, they talk about Michael Jordan as being one of the greatest athletes in the world of all time, which I believe as well. Again, I was born in the 80s and 80s and a 90s kid, so love Michael Jordan. And even Michael Jordan, though, he could not play a full basketball game against a team of five other people by himself. He couldn't be himself without having those other four people on the court, regardless of what role they were playing. He can't do it on his own. So it's important to realize that your real currency in life is how you bring people together to achieve a common goal and how you make it so that everyone's value really is honored and elevated and respected.
Thank you so much for that. I heard you use the word skill. Now, I'd like you to expand on that. What skills do we need to be able to collaborate? Because I believe that we need skill to be able to do it and do it effectively, especially in the business environment.
Yeah, yeah. So that's a great question. The first skill that you need in order to collaborate is you need the skill of communication. You need to be a person who understands the nuances of communication, and you need to be able to clearly communicate who you are, what you do, what you want to achieve. So that's one really important skill when it comes to collaboration. The second skill that's important with collaboration is really being able to be self aware. That is an important quality. Understanding where your strengths are and the places where maybe you are not as strong, and not feeling any type of like bad feelings around that or feeling any type of shame around that, but actually embracing it. So self awareness is a very important skill to have. And then another skill that I would say is important when you're looking to collaborate with others is the importance of the skill of having perspective, being able to look at things from different viewpoints so that you can see where different people can add value, right? So if you're saying, hey, you can use the lotto as a really good example of that. People here in the United States, they play the lottery, they play the Powerball, and you have some people that look at it and they say, okay, I'm going to achieve this on my own. I want to keep all of the money. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to buy as many tickets as possible. And then you have some other people that say, hey, listen, if it's $100 million, I'm good with having 2 million. I'm good with having 3 million because that's more than I would have had if I didn't play at all. Let me get 20, 30, 40 other people. Let's go in together. And if you win, I win. If you win, we win, right? Looking at it from that perspective, that is what collaboration looks like. Realizing that, yes, you can take the effort to go out there and to also try to achieve success through luck, right? The luck of the draw, or you can increase your chances of success by surrounding yourself with people who have a similar mindset but do different things.
All right. Is there a wrong way to network and collaborate?
I think that there can be. I think that there's several different nuances to it. One is if you're collaborating or you're networking from a selfish space. So if you're collaborating or networking, only thinking about what's in it for you and not looking to create what we call in the Success Tribe mutual value, that is, to me, the wrong way to do it, because you are not going to attract collaborators that are going to help you to build a strong relationship that's going to have longevity. I also believe that when you're networking, you really have to also be clear on what you want to accomplish. So I encourage people to not just walk into a room and to say, okay, I'm here and I'm here to network, but to actually do some planning ahead of time, being very clear about what you want to achieve, the types of people that you want to connect with in order to fill whatever gaps that you have, and most importantly, what you want to collaborate on. So I think that going into a networking or collaboration situation, really doing some self-reflection and planning ahead of time is also going to set you up for success.
All right. All right. All right. Because I was asking you this case before, I am tempted to believe that it is possible that when you started, you didn't have all this skill. Is that true? If that is the case,
Absolutely.
what did you do?
Yeah.
What did you do
Yeah,
to grow?
absolutely. Yeah. So, I think about even when I started in my sales career, that a lot of what I did in sales was based on my will to succeed. But I didn't have a lot of training and development as a salesperson to really get past level 2 or level 3 when it came to sales, right? So I think that it's important that when you're looking to build your skill, to do a few things. The one thing that I say is a reason why your network is part of your network is your net worth is because they can help you upskill. So one of my favorite strategies for improving my skills in any specific area is getting into rooms and spaces with people who are already very good at that thing. So if you feel like you're not great at sales, for example, you don't have strong sales skills, but you want to improve those, put yourself in rooms with people who are very good at sales. You can do that through more formal environments like workshops, summits. You can take courses, but also honestly, just putting yourself in those positions in networking environments and informal places. I think that that's very, very important. And then another way to build skill is to be a student of your craft. Whatever it is that you are looking to improve in, read books about it. I think that the TED series, I recently gave my very first TEDx. I think that the TED series is an amazing way to upskill in areas where you may want to become stronger. So I would say also doing some self-study. And there's so many free resources out there now. So doing some self-study around the thing that you want to improve in will also help to increase your skills.
All right. Let's spend a few seconds on your TED speech. Tell me about it. What was it about? How did you prepare for it? Tell me about the entire process of you getting there and speaking and afterwards.
Yeah, that's a whole podcast by itself, Obehi. But that so I did a TEDx talk that is called the gap is the gift. And that TEDx talk is all about helping us understand how sometimes the moments and the things that tend to feel like they are setting us up for failure, how we can learn lessons from those things that set us up for success. And a big part of that talk is around how you can use your network and use your ecosystem and the people that you're surrounded by to fill in your gap areas and how those people become a gift to you. So for me, that's an important conversation because that's even how I was able to land a TEDx. So I was able to land my TEDx talk because someone was in a room where they were looking for TEDx speakers around a specific skill area. And the person that was in the room knew what I did, knew what I spoke about, and recommended me to be part of this TED series. So that was just me having the gap of not even being in the space, having the gap of time and not being able to be everywhere at the same time, but having the gift of people being strategically placed in rooms where my voice could be heard, where my skills could be amplified. Because I'm a professional speaker, for me, TED was probably the most difficult talk that I ever had to prepare for because it is very specific. There's a very specific format for TED. You have to have a very specific sequence of the way that you're speaking about things and the points that have to be hit. So for me, it was a huge learning opportunity. And I'm so grateful that I did it because now I have this new skill. And most importantly, going to your point of here of telling your story. Now this is a way that my story gets to be magnified and amplified across the world. And it's something that my children can see and that many generations afterwards will be able to see and to reflect on. And people that I never even meet will be able to learn from. So I'm super grateful for that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And as I'm reflecting on that, what is coming to my head is what they usually would say: opportunity means preparedness. You are
Yes,
prepared, the opportunity come, you leverage it, because opportunity will come all the time.
that's right.
But what if you are not prepared? Somebody might say, "I have a gift." Your gift is crude. If you don't refine it, it cannot serve you. It's like saying, I need diamond. If I give you pure diamond, you might not really value it because you don't see it shining.
That's right.
Pure gold is a dust. You only like it because it is refined. I'm saying that to mean there are a lot of people that are able to do things, but if they don't refine the skill, they will never do things.
That's right.
I don't know if you can speak more on that. Since we are talking about the skill, because now you're talking about also communication. We're talking about preparing for some important event like TED Talk and all of that. What if you don't do something about your skill? Will it still help you? What do you say about that?
Yeah. So really, I think that the worst thing that we can do in life is to have opportunity and also to have potential that is unreached. So I think it's so important to constantly put yourself in spaces where you are being challenged to show up in your skill. This podcast is a space and an opportunity for me to not just talk about what I do and share that with others, but for me to truly build and to sharpen my skill of speaking, to sharpen my skill of conversation and connection. So I truly believe that if you are going to really continue to show up in your gift, and to show up in a way that is not just going to impact you, but is going to impact generations moving forward, then every day you have to look at a way to sharpen that skill because natural gifts are great and they are amazing. But if you don't take the opportunity to practice them, to push yourself further, whether it be in sports, in music, in business, you are going to have untapped potential and you're not going to make the full impact that your gift truly deserves.
Lovely. Lovely. All right. Now, Diana, tell us like this. What do you really do?
So that's a great question. So what I do is I help people build connections that lead to amazing results. So for example, in sales, I help people understand how to create connections with potential clients, leads that allows them to be seen as a trusted advisor and gives them the opportunity to sell better, more, faster, easier. I help them understand how to build connections within their current ecosystem and network that makes it easier for them to achieve success, where they now can really build a sales force around them of people that are already in their network. And I teach leaders and organizations that lead how to lead better by building stronger relationships from within their organization. I just came back from facilitating a retreat for a nonprofit where the focus really was on helping them create the connections, helping them build a stronger connection that allows them to better serve their clientele, to better achieve the goals that their board has set out. So I help people understand how to create connections that lead to success.
Connection that lead to success. That is beautiful. And also the people that you meet and serve. Where do you really meet these people in the sense that at what level are they that you meet them and take them to the level that they're supposed to be that they can then earn more? Because I believe that if they can do everything on their own, then they wouldn't need you. So
Right.
at what point are you meeting them?
Yeah. So typically, when I'm meeting people, they have experienced pretty significant success in either their business or their career. And they realize that they're at the point where they have become the bottleneck in their next level of success. So when many people look at them, they look at them as a person who has achieved so much. They have made the six figures. They have started the business that really is thriving. But they themselves, the person that's working with me, knows that they can do so much more, but that they're at a point right now that they can't take on more because they themselves have become the bottleneck in their process because they've been trying to do it all on their own. So when they meet me, what we do is we look at and we analyze what the next level is, where it is that they want to go, and then we identify ways for them to get there by leveraging collaborative relationships within their current network.
All right. Tell me about these people that you are serving. Are they conscious of the fact that they are the bottleneck, or are they unsure of what is actually happening so that through the process of diagnosing their situation, you help them understand that they have become the bottleneck, therefore they need to shift, they need to find a solution. Tell me more
Yeah.
about that.
Most of my people, once they've gotten to me, they know that they're the bottleneck. They realize that they're the bottleneck, but in many instances, they are so used to being the person that does all the things. They are so used to being the person that leads that they are coming to me because they have not identified how to stop being the bottleneck. So they already know that they're the bottleneck and they come to me because they're saying, Deanna, how do I not get out of that position? How do I find the people around me that can help me and relieve this time and relieve this feeling of burnout? And that's when and where I help them.
Thank you so much for that. So, what is the final thought from you as we conclude?
Yeah, my final thought is, at the end of the day, success is so much easier together. And success is so much easier when you find people and opportunities to collaborate on. So if you're looking to achieve tremendous success in your life, look very, very closely and clearly at your network and find opportunities to start to spread those responsibilities, those new ideas, those new roles across your ecosystem. And you are going to tap into a really amazing opportunity to achieve success.
Diana, it has been a pleasure talking with you, and I say have a wonderful, wonderful time.
Thank you so much, Obehi. Great to chat with you as well, and thank you for having me.
And you too. Bye-bye.